Hey guys, it's Kai and welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on my Roy Lichtenstein pop art inspired makeup look that I wore at Gen Beauty a few weeks ago. I got tons of compliments on it and requests to do a tutorial. It's actually a really easy look. All it really requires is a bit of patience and a steady hand, but I'm going to walk you through every step of the way. Let's get started. So I'm going to start off by taking this gross kids glue stick and I'm going to use this to block down my brows. I know I always talk about how much I prefer Prozade on my brows as opposed to glue stick, but I mean, if I'm just at home filming a tutorial, I'm going to take this off right away anyway, so I don't need something that's going to last me 12 hours and be super hard to take off when this works just the same for a short amount of time. The goal here is to glue down the brows as flat as possible to the face so that there's no texture or kind of 3D element to them. And I find if you have really bushy brows, it helps to use these little disposable like spoolie mascara wands. I always just steal these from Sephora. I know it's probably bad, so you can also use like a comb or something like this with little teeth to comb the hairs down. One thing I hate about using glue stick is sometimes you can get like that gluey residue all around the brows. So it helps to have a little bit of alcohol on hand, and then I just use it on a little tissue to wipe away all the excess glue residue that's around the brow so that it's just on the brow hairs themselves. It's not the drinkable kind, unfortunately. So then while that's drying, I'm just gonna go ahead and glue down my sideburns too. Alright, so I always wait a little bit for it to dry and then you can feel if it's not tacky anymore and if it feels smooth and you don't feel any hairs sticking out. Once you're at that point, you can move on to the next step, which is setting everything with powder just to eliminate any excess moisture that might still be there. Fun fact about me is that I'm actually asthmatic and I'm not supposed to be using loose powders like this, but I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Alright, so then now I'm just going to cover my entire face with some foundation, starting off with my brows and the sideburns, obviously, because those are the kind of most delicate areas that need the most coverage. And then I'm just going to go ahead and do my whole face while I'm at it. Okay, I'm realizing this foundation does not match me anymore in the slightest now that I'm so tan, so I'm going to have to darken this up. So pop art makeup is technically supposed to be like 2D, so in theory you wouldn't really do any contouring and highlighting since everything is kind of just in really sharp lines, but I just cannot resist the temptation. So I'm gonna go in with a little bit of a subtle contour, taking a super dark foundation on the perimeter of my face. I'm not gonna like chisel out a new nose or do any harsh powder contours later on like I normally would, just adding a little bit of dimension to my face. And then I'm just blending it out with this disgusting stained knockoff beauty blender. Before we go in and set everything with powder, I am still gonna highlight underneath the brow because I still like a very bright defined brow bone. Alright, so now I'm just gonna set everything in place with more loose powder. It's just the same one that I used earlier for my brows. And I'm just gonna put this everywhere. Sometimes when I use a lot of setting powders, they make my skin a little bit ashy looking, so I always like to take some face powder. This is MAC Studio Fix in NC45. And then I just dust off any excess setting powder, and it really kind of restores the warmth in my skin. Honestly, you probably could have fast forwarded through most of this tutorial up till now because this is where the pop art makeup really starts. So I'm going to start off with the brows because the brows really kind of frame the face, and I like to use an eyeliner for my brows. A lot of pop art looks might use face paint because they're more like Halloween type looks, but I'll show you throughout this video. I like to use regular makeup like eyeliner and liquid lipsticks because they're more smudge proof. The last time I did this look, I used some face paints and I found a lot of them were smudging, especially on my neck. So I learned my lesson not to use face paints, especially water activated ones or even cream ones because they kind of break down with sweat. But eyeliner and liquid lipsticks are really smudge proof, so these are what I use. So I'm just tracing out the arch that I created earlier with a highlight. And I know it can kind of be daunting because eyeliner is really hard to clean up if you mess it up, but just try not to fuck it up. And then usually when I'm doing like glam makeup, I always like to have that faded kind of ombre inner brow, but when you're doing black, it's kind of impossible. So I kind of like to, I don't know, like angle it up in the middle to kind of create that like worried, I don't know how to describe it, like worried furrow brow. I know, you can just watch and see. Okay, so now I'm gonna do the eyes next, and the eyeliner I'm using, by the way, is from Ciate London. I've just been trying it out. I got it at Gen Beauty. I like the felt tip. I feel like it's more kind of intuitive to draw stuff with, but I don't like how sometimes you have to add a lot of pressure in order to get product. I don't know, as long as it's free, I'll use it. You can see I like to do really big, bold eyeliner. I mean, especially for a look like this, you're not putting on any eyeshadow, so you have to do something that takes up a lot of space in your eyes. Otherwise, what, your eyes are gonna be blank? No. And then I also like to make a little bit of a line here in the eye socket to kind of make it look like you have a crease. Otherwise, everything just looks a little bit too flat. And I like to create my socket line a little bit closer to this inner part right here. It kind of draws the eyes in that way and makes it look more like worried. I don't know what that emotion is. Okay, I put in some contact lenses off camera, and now I'm gonna put on some white eyeliner underneath my eye. Usually when I do this step with normal like glam makeup, I kind of like to concentrate most of it on this inner corner. That way it draws the eye into a cat eye, but today I'm just gonna do it on the entire lower lash line. And then I'm gonna go ahead and set it with some, you really should use white eyeshadow, but I don't want to walk all the way over there, so this is just a light kind of beige eyeshadow. Alright, and then I'm gonna underline the bottom of it and draw in some little eyelashes using some more eyeliner. So first you just want to draw that base line that just hugs the white. And then to make that kind of pop art-esque look, I'm gonna flick the brush tip out to make some little eyelashes. So then another little detail I like to add to the eyes that I see sometimes in pop art illustrations, especially Lichtenstein's, is I add a little bit of a tear on my eye. And I just use a blue liquid lipstick. Like I said, I don't like to use face paints anymore, so this is just the easiest. For more precision, you can put it on a brush, and then you just draw a little tear. Like everything else in pop art, you're gonna want to outline this in black, but I don't want it to blend in with any black, so I'm gonna wait till this fully dries and then I'm gonna outline it later. While I'm waiting, I'm gonna go ahead and go back into my eyeliner and start drawing some really graphic lines on my face. And this is where you can really get creative. You can draw a lot of lines or just very few. I like to make sure I go down the bridge of the nose like this, and then kind of hug the tip like that. And then, so we don't neglect the rest of the nose, I'm gonna do little things like that on the nostrils. I'm also going to draw lines on my cheekbones to accentuate the cheeks, and as well as the jaw and the chin. Since these are kind of larger features, you want to really use the length of this or just use a couple of layers so you can really build up some thickness. Otherwise it just looks weird if there's a super thin line there. You want to scale it up to make it thicker for the big features. I also like to draw some lines on my neck and chest since I know that these areas are going to be exposed. So I kind of draw lines to accentuate the bone that's right here. I don't know what the hell it's called. And then also my collarbones. Is it trachea? I don't know. These parts here are always where I find my makeup tends to smudge, because when I'm like talking and nodding, the neck is the part that moves the most on your face and kind of rubs against itself. So before you do any moving around, make sure that this dries fully so that it doesn't smudge and get everywhere. For my lips, I'm gonna go for a really bright red. This is the MAC Cosmetics, what is this called? Retro Matte Liquid Lip Color in Feels So Grand. And then of course I'm gonna outline it with some black eyeliner. I'm also gonna outline this little tear that I have going on here now that that liquid lipstick is mostly dried. Another little detail you can add is some highlights, and in pop art, instead of using like shading and blending to make things stand out, you probably already know they use little white specks. So this is a Kat Von D tattoo liner in the color Neruda, and then I'm just gonna make little shiny specks on my lips. A lot of people like to stop here when it comes to doing pop art makeup, and it's probably a good place to stop if you just want to put off the message of doing the pop art illusion, but another detail that I like to add are the dots all over the face. If you look closely at any of Roy Lichtenstein's portraits, the skin tone is actually made up of a lot of really tiny red dots. I don't want to do red dots on my face. I kind of fear it's just going to make me look like I have chickenpox, so what I like to use is a kind of like pinkish, reddish, but still kind of close to my skin tone color, and I like to use liquid lipstick. Let me go get it. This is a Makeup Forever liquid lipstick. I like this because it's so smudge proof, it lasts as long as you need it to, and the other good thing about this is it already comes in a little doe foot applicator where you can just dot it on your face just like that. For the sake of being polished and consistent, try to arrange the dots so that they're kind of in like some sort of grid shape, so it's not just randomly placed everywhere. And at first when you start putting on dots, it kind of looks weird, but once you put it over the entire face, that's when it really starts to come together and doesn't just look like you have weird spots on your face. Alright guys, so now that I have dots everywhere, face, neck, and exposed chest, now the last step, or at least the step that I just forgot to do until now, is the lashes. So I'm going to put mine on top and bottom, and I'll be right back. Guys, this is the finished look with a hair and outfit and everything. I'll be sure to list all the makeup I used down in the description in case you missed anything. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. But before I go, I wanted to give a quick shout out to these lovely people who have recreated some of my tutorials and tagged me in their pictures. This girl even created a faux fur jacket using my tutorial, which I think is so cool. I want to do more sewing tutorials in the future. I have a couple of ideas in mind for looks that I want to try, but I'm always open to hearing your guys' ideas, so leave them down in the comments as well as any thoughts on this video. I'm gonna go wash all this off now, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!